the prompts that we've been discussing.
Sorry to interrupt, Farah. I'm back, and I just got in back as James started, introducing himself.
Yeah,
So it was a kind of lucky jump. So I am Saira Khan Afridi, lecturer in the subject of economics at Shaheed Benazir Bhutto Women University, and I'm hoping that today's session would be fruitful for all of us, and hoping to learn from one another in today's session. Good luck to all of us.
Thank you, Sarah. I'm glad you were able to get back on. And no more problems from here. So yesterday we started our
hopefully.
Yeah. Yesterday we started our discussion just talking about kind of what thoughts or emotions the play brought up for us. And then that kind of snowballed into a lot of other great discussion. So I don't know if we want to start there again today, and some folks from UNO and some folks from Benazir Bhutto University can jump in if that works for everybody. I don't know if I don't necessarily need to call on anybody, but if somebody wants to offer up and go first.
I guess, Farah, the way you have planned the things, like the way you did the things practically at your campus, so, and the way you have planned for the Zoom session, and since like we were talking about like earlier, like students will have the play reading, and it will be followed by the exchanging of the discussion prompts and the thought processes. So this would be nice if it suits everyone and if it suits you. Otherwise, the floor is open if someone wants to, pop up something from among the students from your university or our university. So I think let's get started with your university, because you guys are already done with, something in one session.
Sure. Yeah. I don't know, Courtney, RD, Jess, Craig, do you want to?
Yeah. So one of the things we discussed yesterday is, are these themes of sort of a society in transition, of moving from of urbanization, of industrialization, right? There's the twin settings of sort of being outside in a rural area, but then also industrialization is visible. And so we were talking about, from the perspective of someone in Pakistan viewing this play, could you talk a little bit about sort of culturally, sort of how this industrialization and urbanization, that we're seeing in the play is affecting people in Pakistan, particularly farmers, the kind of people who, are depicted in the play, so that we could have a little bit more context as to the piece itself.
I'll go next. Hi everybody. One of the things that we talked about in our kind of post play reading discussion was I think one of the very interesting things that comes from this play is how the focus is very solely on the people and the birds and the animals, the things that are affected by this change, who have to deal with all of the negative consequences, all kind of coming together and learning about each other and having to struggle together, while the forces that caused these disasters and these changes are far off in the distance. It adds a very solemn feel to this play, and I think really emphasizes that focus.
I wonder from our, thank you, Craig and RD. I think that gives a great overview, and it makes me wonder from our Pakistani colleagues here about the question of sort of what feelings does the play raise for all of us. Like RD said, we tended, I think many of us, at least in the UNO group, to feel that this was a pretty sad play. And we weren't sure if there was any hope to be found. We would love to hear your feelings about that, given that the playwright is from Pakistan, and it seemed, you know, obviously the play is closer to home for you.
All right, dear students from economics department and education department, since you already know about this play and you have already gone through the climate change processes as well, so you have been asked about what kind of feeling that that generate in yourself or that are aroused because of the climate changes that you are facing. So what are your personal experiences, or what is there anything that you would like to share with them? Like they want to hear from you about your experiences, about your ideas, and what you have gone through because of the climate change. So please, if any one of you could respond to this prompt from 8th semester, 6th semester, and from education department.
I see Kamal, you have your hand up.
Oh. Yes.
Marwa, Savera, Komal,
Yes,
Gulerana.
ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Please.
Yes.
All right. Introduce yourself and please start saying something about it.
My name is Komal Malaika. I'm the student of BS Economics 6th
All
semester
right, go
from
ahead.
Shaheed Benazir. Okay, the climate change have very much a high impact on our floods. Look back to 2022, the year of floods. The floods affect the crops, farms, lands, and also very high inflation rate, and we go through the high unemployment rate, and like many more effects or impacts on our society and our surroundings, like the people becomes homeless because of floods, and also the crops becomes damaged because of this disaster, because of flood. And the second one experience is fog or smog in winter seasons, like there happens many accidents because of fogs and smokes.
All right. Thank you, Komal. Is there anyone else who would like to say something regarding the same prompt?
May I?
Yes, please.
I'm Komal
Yes, please.
from Education Department. The weather patterns are changing very quickly because of this climate change. The winters are getting shorter and the summer are getting much longer, and this impact all our climate because of weather changes. Thank you.
All right. If there is someone who would like to add up something, or if there's something that you want to ask from your fellows right now, or if there's something that you would like to add up into what Komal and the one of our students from education department just said. Also, you can talk about the role of the reversing of the gender into it. If you can talk about the gender reversing role, like if there would be male in place of the there would be female in place of the male, so what would be the overall scenario, or what would be the situation? Also, how do you see the climate change or this play in terms of the sustainability point of view? And you can also talk about the economic progress, you can also talk about the societal impact, and you can also talk about its repercussions that it has brought into your life. So anyone from education department and economics department who would like to say something, please carry on.
Ma'am, can I?
Yes, please.
Ma'am, this is me, Maha Hasan from Education Department. So, ma'am, I said that the climate change have a great effects on our lives. As usually in past time, we saw the flood situations. So people face lots of difficulty problems. They lost their homes for economy actually. So recently, due to the growing of time period, the weather season changing, the people face difficulties. Like in the summer, they face the hot season, hot days. That's why they people who they didn't have homes, so they face the hotness and the homeless people. And whenever they are in the winter season, weather season, so they face also actually the difficulty. So I uh, advise to all of people that those people who have home, or those who are economically rich, so we all are being help to everyone, and we are doing help to each other. And with the due to the climate change, we are always be ready for a helpful to those people who are they needy. So yes, the climate change have a great effects on our daily routine or daily lives. It's a great impact. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you all.
Thank you,
Ma'am,
Iram.
can I say something?
Yes, please.
Yes, please go ahead.
Um, hello everyone. As I have introduced myself, again I want to say that as recently I have visited the flood affected areas with my university professor. So I see that people were much more affected by that flood, as by human resources and non-human resources both. And economically we were, as we are in not developed in a developed countries, so we affected economically very much. And another the climate change which affect me, it is the fog. As when I visited my village, so there was much more fog there, and it affects my education. So I did not come to university, and I missed much more classes, which I thought that it it might be affect the climate change, the fog. So next time I do not have to go to my village, because I have recently much more affected by my education.
Okay.
Ma'am,
Thank
can
you.
I?
Thank you,
Yes,
Halima.
please.
Yes,
Thank you.
please.
Thank you so much. Yes.
As Ma'am Saira asked that if what if we exchange, what if we change the gender of the people, the play characters now? So we will, if the character were female, so this will be more focusing on the women problems in the male dominated society, as we live in the in a such a society which is ruled by men.
All right. So who do you favor? So whether it should be a male dominant society or female dominant society, who can, better tackle such kind of situations, male or female, or you can say a mix of both, like if they work in collaboration.
Yes, if they work with collaboration, it will be more effective.
Yes, you see, if there is a collaboration, then there is the principle of gender equality that could be seen over there, right? So it is always preferred to have such a societies where we have the, on one hand, we have the male dominancy. On the other hand, there must be the women empowerment as well. And this is how we can see the essence of the true essence and the true crux of the gender equality. And this is how we can eliminate the few of the aspects of the gender disparity. Yes, please. Anyone else, if someone want to add something into the existing thought processes?
So, yes.
Yes,
Yes,
please.
Adan.
Yes, Komal.
Adan, if you share your thoughts and views about it. Yes,
Yeah,
Adan.
yes, ma'am. Hello, I'm Adan from Education Department, and I wanted to say that climate change is affecting our lives very much. It is a very highlighted problem in today's world. Just like I wanted to share my experience that in last winters, I was in Lahore, Pakistan, and I was facing the problem of smoke. Smoke was very, it was very fog in Lahore, and I visit here to spend my vacations there, winter vacation. So I saw that the whole routine was disturbed from the climate change, because the markets are closed before
before 7 o'clock or 8 o'clock, and there was a huge impact on economically, and both everyone was emotionally disturbed by this routine, because they were not used to this routine, and the schools were also, the schools, colleges, and everything was closed because of the smoke, because they couldn't go to school, university. So it has also affected students as well as business persons. And it has also a good effect, because the powers, it saves the powers, electricity, because we know that at night time we need more electricity. So I think it has also a good effect that they close the markets early.
Something
Ma'am.
that, we did talk about the smoke as like a representation of industrialization in the play, but we don't deal with such extreme levels of air pollution here in Omaha. And so I don't think we could fully appreciate how impactful air pollution just in and of itself can be. Climate change, weather pattern changes aside, just the presence of such intense air pollution, how that impacts people was something that we didn't touch upon yesterday. So thank you for bringing that up.
Welcome, ma'am.
Thank you.
Thank you. Ma'am, can I?
Yes, please, Iram,
Yes,
Yes,
if
please.
you want to add some.
yes, ma'am. Thank you. Thank you all. It's Maha Hasan. As I already talked with you all, to add, I want to add something to this one session, that if we have a gender action plan for climate change, so it enhanced gender action plan sets out the objectives and activities which are the under 5 priorities area that aims to advance the knowledge and understanding of gender responsive climate action. So we should have the first for plan for climate change. What should we have actions? So through the action plan, we set out our objectives and activities to those area in which we did the advanced knowledge, in which we and introduce about the responsive climate action and coherent mainstreaming in the implementation of that work, and their parties spread and also all.
Okay, thank you, Iram. You want to say this, that if females are involved into this issue,
ma'am.
so they can bring very positive change and
Yes,
resolve
ma'am.
climate crisis.
Women and girls experience the greatest impacts of climate change, which amplifies and existing gender inequalities and poses all or the unique threats to their livelihoods, health, and the safety across the world. That's all.
Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Can I add something about climate change?
Yes,
please. Please also highlight the reasons of the climate change as well. Why is the climate change happening? Is like a little, if you want to talk about the reasons, like what are the reasons which are contributing or attributing to the happening of the climate change so quickly? As you know, in the case of Pakistan, you see, kind of weather conditions and things like that. So you can also talk about it.
Yeah.
Yes,
Gulerana.
due to I think I am talking about the effects of the climate change in Pakistan.
All right, go ahead.
Such as my fellows already mentioned about the floods in Pakistan recently. Due to the floods, our country is facing many economically problems, such as we don't have many resources, and till now we are facing the consequences of those floods in 2022. Such as things are getting expensive, and people who don't have much money can't even buy food for themselves for lunch or dinner, or they starve themselves.
All right.
I would like to say something.
Yes, please.
I think humans are also involved in this because we are not protecting our environment. We are damaging the ozone layer, like we are building the factories, but we are not aware of the consequences because we have not properly planned about the waste of the factories that they are damaging our crops, and also about, because of water pollution, we are throwing the garbage in rivers. So it also causes climate change.
Yeah, good.
Yes, ma'am.
May
Can
I?
I?
G, yes.
Yes, please.
Human activities responsible for this increase are the combustion of fossil fuels, excessive agriculture, deforestation, urbanization, and air pollution. This is the cause of climate change.
So you simply
Ma'am, can
pointed out that
Yes.
these are basically the reasons of climate change, like
Yeah.
why the climate change is happening so quickly. Good.
Yes,
yes, ma'am, I would like to say
And
that
I
that
think,
yes,
and I
human
think
activity.
deforestation is the great effect on the climate change, as there are no such as we can say that trees are really important for a good climate, as we already have studied that they absorb carbon dioxide and give us oxygen, uh, like uh, and due to deforestation we are it affect the ozone layer.
Yes. It
Yes,
is
ma'am.
affecting the ozone layer, and also it is
And
adding up to the global warming. It is adding up to the greenhouse gases impact. Also, like this is all because of the burning of the fossil fuels, kind the processes of deforestation, like cutting down of the trees and reducing the number of, green aspects from the homeland. And also if the pressures of the heat rises, and if there's scorching heat, so it is going to melt down the glaciers as well. So you see, that's how the sea level rises, and it become the cause of the flood. So there are multiple reasons. There are certain natural reasons for the climate change, and certain are, I would say, certain are man-made reasons as well. We have the industrialization, we have the agricultural aspects, we have the economic reasons, and all those reasons are responsible for bringing about the change in the global atmosphere. And this change in the atmosphere is leading to far reaching repercussions. And as we previously talked about the externalities concept, and one of the students like RD, he also talked about the negative impacts. So the negative impacts in economics, we call it as the externalities. Now, externalities, it can come from the human side in terms from the production side and from the consumption side as well. So we are contributing into the negative aspects of the climate change, of the global warming. Reason being, we want to develop ourselves. So on one hand, we are bringing up the economic development and economic prosperity of the country, but at the cost of the climatic degradation. So there we should plan such policies, and certain curriculums should be devised, and policy making should be there in order to facilitate the policy makers at the agencies and the government. Like they should be undertaking their production processes and the consumption processes in such a way that on one hand it should be contributing into the economic development. The production processes should be there. If the productions are there, so there will be the sectoral development, the regional development, and all this kind of development will lead towards economic progress and economic prosperity. On the other hand, we have to confine the limits of the producers and the consumers in such a way that they should be, for me, one of the suggestion could be like they should be penalized in terms of levying or charging them the high rate of the taxes. Like if you produce this much of negative externality, so this percentage of tax that you need to pay. So if for example, I'm the producer or consumer and I'm involving myself into such an activity, and like this activity is going to develop me and my business, but on the other hand, if it is going to degrade the environment, in my surrounding. So I'll be, I'll be thinking about I'll think about both of the sides. I'll try to come up with such a trade-off that it leads towards the development of myself, development of my business, development of my project, but keeping in consideration the certain limits that I need to confine myself and my business up to. So this is the one of the impacts or one of the proactive role of the government or the external agencies, that they can use this kind of power in order to put a certain kind of restriction for the producers and consumers. So for this, I think extensive and policy making is required. We should have the experts at hand, who should outline the major causes of the environmental degradation, and they are the right persons to come up with the policies. And we have the sociologists, and we have the environmentalists, we have the economists. So there must be collaborative teamwork, and they can work on all of these areas. And that's how, on one hand, we can see the developmental patterns. On the other hand, we have to bear in mind that what are the do's and don'ts, what are the restrictions, and what are the limits that we can cross in order to develop ourselves, our homeland. Because if the production processes are not just enough, we have to save the environment as well, because survival is a must. Having the human capital is a must. Having the natural capital is a must. Having the physical capital is a must. And we can have this all once we have the environmental protection. So this was a lighter, comment, a kind sort of literature on the causes of the reasons of the climate change and how we can, drop down the negative impacts of it.
I appreciate that, bringing up that tension between the need for the development and access to energy, better quality of life, and then the need to address climate change at the same time. It's a great challenge. And Kristen put in the chat, I don't know if you all saw, why would it be beneficial to include women in climate action? What unique perspectives, what unique solutions might they bring? So I don't know if anybody would like to discuss that.
I was just interested. I was just really interested in what a few of you were saying before about, I think one of you even said that we need a gender action plan, which I love that. It just made me wonder, from your perspective, what unique solutions might women be able to offer?
I was just gonna say, like, having women, I know personally, if it was all men, I'd be like a bit disconnected to the movement. I started getting into like climate action once Greta Thunberg was kind of speaking out about it. Having like a woman my age, I think that's what gets people more involved, especially since, I don't know, we do have the same kind of ideas.
I don't know that this is a unique perspective to women, but what comes to my mind is one of the things that drives me to be concerned is the future for my children and grandchildren. And, again, I don't know that that's uniquely a woman's perspective, but to some extent, I feel like it might be.
I know the concept of thinking about the future world for your children did come up in our discussion yesterday, and actually James brought that up. So yeah, it can definitely be a universal theme, but as you said, it could also maybe be more so for women. Anybody else?
Well, and again, this was two men, obviously, in the play who exemplified this, but the stereotype is that women are maybe more able to connect with one another and empathy. And, again, we saw it in the play with two men, but, the women being able to empathize with the plight of, people beyond our own situation.
Yeah, I also thought there was a unique perspective when the younger man was educating the older man on the changes that he's seeing. I think that's really true, seeing the generational shift
of the younger people, oftentimes educating the older people about what's going on. And I'm also curious for anybody who's studying education, how you feel about this, because I'm studying education and I don't know how to teach young children about climate change without scaring them. I'm curious if anybody else has experiences with that.
Wilayat, is that something that you're working with?
Yes, I am from the education
Dr.
department.
Vilayat, if you could, Dr. Vilayat, if you please comment on what like she wants to ask some.
I'm here to answer.
If you
Yes,
want.
I'm from the Department of Education, and as my students also shared their views about the climate change and what they perceive from the play. And it was rightly discussed that, yes, being an educationist, I'm also wondering that the future is too much getting difficult and for us, because climate crisis, we all are suffering, and in the future too, we will have to educate our young ones and our young students. And I think I'm serving in a women university. We have a lot of girl students. So if we make them aware, and if we give them the education or the awareness regarding this abrupt climate change, so they can bring positive change. Because women or girls are they are actively, whenever we have planned any activity or any event, mostly girls mostly participated very actively in that, and they always put their efforts and their hard work into that. And they so I can see that if we make them aware through our methodologies, through our teaching, through curriculum, so if we make them aware, I don't think so that they can't bring positive change. They are active, they are sensitive, and we will have to step up, all of us, for this change. Because being Pakistanis, we are suffered a lot. We have suffered a lot, and we are suffering due to climate change, excessive floods, excessive raining, and the air pollution. We are too much, very much worried, and we will have to now step out for this. We will not have to wait for others that they will come and they will make treatment for this, all this climate crisis. So I think that being an educationist, through our curriculum and through our different sessions like this Zoom session, worldwide teach in, and through different activities, we can bring this awareness to our students. And I'm very hopeful that the younger generation, they have more energies, they have more stamina. And I believe that females are more sensitive towards any type of issue. So definitely they will bring, they can bring very positive change. So the need is to work hard through different activities and on different platforms, bringing awareness through curriculum, through education. So I think that we are hopeful, and we can save our planet, because it's our planet. We will have to, our future generation will stay. So all of us can work together and bring positive change. Thank you.
I agree. Thank you.
Okay. The students from education department or economics department, if you people want to say or add anything regarding the how women can be more fruitful or productive in bringing the change, so you can comment. Adan, Gulerana, Marwa, if you people want to say something over here, please, you can make comment.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you for calling me.
in keeping in view the woman aspect, we can one thing can come up into my mind that in our society, our women mostly stay at home and they do the upbringing of children as all over the world, but if we educate our women and we create awareness mostly in women, so that they will aware their children on from the very young age, and they will be aware of the consequences later, so that they won't do any such activities, they won't litter garbage, or they won't do anything harmful to the environment, so they will be aware of the consequences. So I think it's good to aware or include women in this in all this thing. So that's all from
Good.
my side.
Thank you,
Thank you,
Marwa. Good.
Marwa.
Yeah. Anyone else from
Anyone
the
else,
student?
please, who wants to say something? Since
How
we
can
all are women, and just
in
think
female
about
student?
yourself and how are you going to save your climate?
Yes. Ma'am, can I?
Yes, please, Iram.
Yes, please.
Ma'am, always women are considered as a weaker section of society, but I think they play a significant role in raising a voice against environmental degradation. So with the advancement of education and technology, and they are the positive impact on climate adaptations by providing appropriate technology resources, and so we can promote more sustainable farming and conservation practices, and by reducing poverty, we can help individuals better adapt to the effects of a climate change. Yes.
Yes, thank you, Iram.
Thank you, ma'am.
Anyone else?
Kamal? I think, Kamal, did
Ma'am,
you?
can I?
Yes,
Yes,
please.
please.
Yes, Komal.
Ma'am, in our society, the women are considered as weakest point, but they haven't any right, and they do something for themselves in the field of business or any other, like some women or some females want their to start their own business, like any other activity for for the economic development, and like the all these, like the women are considered the weakest, like they're told women like that you can do it, or like etc like that, no? So they have to give the pitch to like the as woman for the business or woman empowerment or the woman entrepreneurship.
Mm-hmm.
Ma'am,
Thank you.
can I add something?
Yes, go ahead.
Yes, please. Yes, Gulirana. Go ahead.
As a girl, I think that women are more sensitive to feel the climate change, na? So and personally, I am a person like who loves cleanness and to live in a very tidy and clean environment, na? So whenever I get a chance or I am free and I don't have anything to do, I just start cleaning my home and do like clean all the places.
Yes, Farah, I want to add here, these students, Gulirana, Komal, from the 8th semester in education department, they have the tree plantation drive. It was performed by all the university students, and these students actively participated in the cleaning of the whole department and even our offices, and they decorated, and they're very much active. So they love to work, and they put their efforts for the social work. So as Gulirana here, she added that especially women, they are sensitive, and if they are involved, they can put their efforts. we have observed their
And
efforts in our
one
department.
more thing, Farah, Dr. Velayat, as you already know about, as you already know, Farah, like in our university, we have a club that is known as GYM, a Green Youth Club. We have
Yeah.
this club in which we have multiple students belonging to the different departments and the subjects, and they are a part of that gym club, like Green Youth Club, in which they undertake multiple activities in order to save, protect, and upgrade environment. Recently, we had a plantation drive as well. And yesterday and today, we had the floral exhibition at our university, and in which the students also participated. The faculty was there, the employees were there. It was a kind of exhibition as well. And this gym, that club, is working so actively that we got some kind of a little bit of sponsorship from the Higher Education Commission of Pakistan, and they have entrusted us with the responsibility of how you are going to promote your campus in terms of the environmental upgradation, and how you have to how you are bringing about a change in the climate. And because of it was a kind of project that was initiated by the Higher Education Commission of Pakistan, and we have the focal person and the gym club. We have the student volunteers into it, and all those student volunteers, they work within the premises of the campus, and then we have the different heads of the students as well. This was the one thing, like we have all kinds of activities regarding the environmental upgradation and how to promote the clean and green environment of the campus, that is undertaken under the banner of the Green Youth Club. And another thing, in the recent devastated floods that hit so hard the different areas of the Pakistan, especially Khyber Pakhtunkhwa, the most our students who are a part of today's session as well, they went there to the affected places, the affected areas. They visited those places, they met all those families in person, and they arranged medicine, food, clothing, kind of temporary shelters. They arranged each and everything. They were heavily involved into the packing different sorts of material. We had developed a kind of campaign and a kind of a small club in which we had the student leaders, and under the student leadership we had multiple number of students, and then we divided the number of days for the different areas, and a group of students, a chunk of students were accompanied by the staff and the employees of the university, and that's how they try to facilitate all those the victimized persons of those affected areas. So this was a little bit of effort that they wanted to bring up, and for all those families and persons who got hit hard due to the climate change.
Yeah, you talking about the activities in your student club reminds me.
Yeah.
Courtney, who's
And
on the with us, she is the of our sustainability student organization at UNO. So it would be neat to see. I don't know if your students have any presence online. Like I know our students have an Instagram page. It would be neat to share, what they're doing and what your students are doing.
This is so good. Yeah, we can have it. Today I met the focal person of that Green Youth Club, and I was having a conversation with her regarding the same topic, because I had back in my mind that tonight we have this session. So I just wanted to have a talk with her, and she also like, obviously we know about each and everything, but she also briefed me about the overall club. And one thing, there is a proper hiring process in order to be the volunteer of that club. Like first, like we have a form, we display that form on the multiple so media of the university, and then the student, they start applying. Once the applications are received, then after the proper scrutiny process, then 2 or 3 interviews are done, and then a list of students comes up who become a part of that club, because having that club does not mean like we need to have the active members, not the passive ones. We need ones who are involved into the, you know, who are willing to bring about a change, who want to work and we want to see the kind of realization that this project or this club wants from us. So this is the reason the scrutinizing process is a little bit hard, because it's very important to have the right kind of students and who should have the motive and goals in front of them to make a positive change with the help of their actions and their work as well. One more thing, Farrah, that I would, that's a kind of question that simply popped up into my mind. And I just want to ask from your students and from my students as well. I was just thinking that since we have, all of us have read the play When Birds Fly Away, and it's a story of the two men. One was old man and the another was young one. So I just want to ask from the students that how would they tackle the situation if they would be in their place. Like you see, they left their places because of the extreme weather conditions, and then they have one of the young men, he had to leave his job, he had to leave his place, he was losing his family members, and then he had to, you know, there was a kind of shift in his profession from being the farmer or the agriculturist towards, you know, working in a factory or an industry. And then there is the old man who was most, who was least interested about the birds, who he think were becoming a kind of destruction for his land and the farms. And he was even ready to shoot the birds as well, because he wanted to have a source of earning or the source of income in order to live his livelihood. So was their decision was correct, or what they did was correct, like leaving your place, moving, it was a kind of migrational impact was also to be seen in this. So leaving your place, moving on to another one, like the essence of migration is there, and the kind of emotional disturbances, imbalances are there, and what decisions that they actually made up. So was it correct or not? So what would they do if they would be in place of that old man and the young man? So what is the comment of all of the today's participants or the audience on this? Like, what would be your behavior or your attitude if you would be in place of for example, old man and the young man? So what would you do? Would you leave your places, or you might have been come up with certain other strategy that would suit you by that time? So is there anyone who would, this is a kind of general thing that simply came across my mind. So I just wanted to have an opinion of students over it.
I think RD has a comment. RD?
Yeah. Hi. I think in response to your question about what would I do if I was in that situation, I think one of the really kind of cruel things about these kinds of situations is how they're often manipulated to try and push whatever solution is most beneficial to the production side of the situation, right? These large companies, or sometimes they're the policies that are put in place by countries that want to increase production. They'll tell these, the farmers or whoever's land that they want, that it's actually in their best interests to move, to leave, right? And so I would like to think that I would stay and I would fight for the land that my family or that I or both worked so hard to take care of. But when you're kind of beset on all sides by other interests, and how sometimes they'll even manipulate the education field to try and convince you to do so, then I can't say I would probably end up having to throw myself at the mercy of wherever I went, right? Just that might be the only option.
And
okay,
Kristen, you had mentioned, the main corporations and, who's responsible for these climate change impacts, and then aren't other countries to blame? And, when we started our play reading yesterday, I mentioned that Pakistan is responsible for less than 1% of total global greenhouse gas emissions. The US is responsible for about 25% of global emissions. So there's this disjointed relationship between who is most responsible for it and who is most vulnerable to the impacts. And when you get these situations, now you have, the old man having this conflict with a new person coming in, this displacement of the birds. And so you're seeing the conflict locally between those two people when, like, really the conflict isn't there. They unfortunately are part of a system that has pitted them against each other. But the true responsibility lies elsewhere. And as it's shown in the play, that's off in the distance. It's kind of abstract. So I don't know if anybody else wants to comment on that, or what Sarah was asking about, what would we do? What would you do? And Kristen posed the question too, how can activists from Pakistan be effective in promoting sustainability globally? So any of those things, if anybody wants to share, throwing it out there.
Ma'am, can I?
Yes, please.
Please,
Ma'am, as you asked that, what would I do if I was one of any of them, the characters? So I think if I was the younger man, I won't leave my place or sell it. Instead of selling it, I'll do partnership with someone and peacefully enjoying the income.
May I?
Yes, please.
Leaving our homeland is not an option. We need to come up with some new ideas and solve that problem which we are facing. Thank you.
I would like to say that it was natural problem that he left his place because it was not in his hands. Just like he said that the fields are not fertilizing, so it was his problem. He was as he said that he mentioned that most of the people were died because of the climate change and they were affected. So he has to give on his land because it was not giving his profit, and he was emotional. He was also disturbed emotionally, both financially. So he has to move to other place to do something for him to survive.
Good.
Good.
Ma'am, may I?
Yes.
Ma'am, I think don't leave our land and work hard for our land. Use different resources.
All right, done. And we have the, if we have certain activists in Pakistan, we have, I think, Christine, she asked about how the activists from Pakistan, they can, promote sustainability globally. Like, in my point of view, first of all, the sense of responsibility is very important. If we have the activists, it means we have the organizations, we have the NGOs, non-governmental organizations. So we have governmental and non-governmental organization. And first of all, the thing is to see something and to realize something. The sense of realization is important. Then comes the sense of responsibility. Sense of responsibility is important. And if there is the sense of responsibility, and the third thing is gender sensitization is very important. Like, if I think about myself, yes, I am responsible and I will I'm doing this thing, but from now onwards, I have to make a difference. So I have to bring about a change. So if everyone start thinking about I am responsible, so this is how we can develop the gender sensitization, because most of the people, they are least concerned about the external environmental, and they start concerning about the things when the external shocks hit them hard. So gender sensitization is the most important thing, and most of the activists in the from the governmental and non-governmental organization in Pakistan, they are first and foremost, they are targeting the gender sensitization, like how you have to make the gender sensitive towards this burning issue. If they are sensitized in the right manner, so it means that the things would go in the right direction. Everyone would have the sense of realization and responsibility, and if they would act with responsibility, so it means that it could be seen in their actions. So action matter a lot, actions speak a lot. We have there's a long story in order to answer this question, but to cut it short, to cut long story short, we have the organizations who are actively involved into the different actions. They are on one hand, they are having the kind of talks, symposium, and the symposiums and things, workshops, things like that. But on the another hand, they are arranging activities, demonstrations, the visuals, in order to inculcate into them the sense of realization first. This is how the gender sensitization would be made possible, and that's how they are targeting the climate upgradation. Like that's how they are bringing about the climate change. But and then we have the here comes the policy making as well, and there are multiple other things that the government asks us to do, and then we hire the teams, and in fact, the activists in Pakistan, they move from door to door as well. The activists in Pakistan, they arrange the mobile campaigns as well, and they start visiting the far-flung areas, remote areas, where people are not willing to embrace that change, and they are not willing to accept what should be done. So they simply go there and they try to convince them, especially in the villages and the rural areas, where there is no sense like what is right and what is wrong when it comes to the climate change. Because if we look around, so mostly in the urban areas are those where we have the sense of urbanization, and we have because of the industrialization, so the climatic degradation is far more fast in the urban areas as compared to the rural areas. The air is clean, and the agricultural is good over there. There is no much deforestation in the villages. So this is also one of those reasons that they are not into this much into this process. But we have the talk shows, we have the resource persons, we hire the speaker, these activists hire the speakers, and they simply try to convince people tell them what are the do's and don'ts in order to upgrade the environment. And then they try to come up with they display few of the movie clips as well, the video clips, in order to tell them, like, if you do this, so this will happen. If you don't do this, this will also happen. And the movie clips are they come up with the movie clips. One is in the form of with the help of the animations, that they can take the help of the cartoon characters, they take help of the human figures or the human characters as well. And in one of the events that I had arranged in the previous years, over there we had a workshop, we had an event for 2 weeks, and one of the week was we were involved into the preparatory phase, and then we were having these sessions and discourse sessions we had speak up sessions as well. But in the second week of that conference, that event, this week was devoted to arranging the workshop. The workshop was regarding the filmmaking, the videography, the singing, the poetry, the sketching, the painting, like every single field that is available. So we targeted all those fields. We picked up the participants from all over the Khyber Pakhtunkhwa, and we gave them the mentors, the group leaders, and there were a group of students, a group of participants, 10 to 15 and up to 20, and they were given the task that you have 1 week time, and how would you film that specific theme or specific area and topic? How would you, for example, the climate, the environment was one of the area, and theater was one of the another areas. So all those participants who belong to the theater, so they came up with a play, and they came with some, they had a dance performance as well, but it was lesson based. It was not something that we see on television for entertainment purpose. The fun and entertainment was there, but it was lesson based. So one of the which I actually enjoyed, one of the workshop, like it was based upon the filmmaking. The participants, they went into field, they took the part, like one of them became the director and then actors, and this is how things went on. And at the end, we had a 5 to 10 minutes clip, and which was the original story, and it was filmed in the surrounding areas of the Peshawar, and it was theme based, and it was based on the fact that how, if the poverty is going, how the climate change is going to impact the poor communities of the society, how they are living, how the climate change and the environmental degradation is going to hurt their lives. So it was we had the government officials invited in that, and it was they were quite happy to see that, like, it was so emotional that at the very end we literally started crying, and we were being given the cash prize as well. To the organizers and to the participants, this is how the activists, they are working. It is just one of the examples that I just quoted, I was a part of it personally. I personally experienced it. There are multiple other things that the activists are doing, and we can share they're working with you later on, like after the session.
I would love to see that and see what they came up with. And I know that our students, I'm sure, would love to see that as well, especially those in the Sustain UNO group, because that's always the question of, how to reach people. And you were mentioning, poems and plays and paintings and just being able, and I know Kristen is smiling from ear to ear hearing all the involvement in the environmental humanities and how important that is to reaching people. So yes, art is education. Yes, RD. Yeah. And I know our Sustain UNO group talked about just going to important voices, people talking about how they're feeling about these different things. So it's fun to hear what you all are involved with. And again, I'd love to see that. Absolutely would love to. And I know I could share it with everyone else too.
One quick comment I'll just make too, and Syra, that sounds so amazing that thank you for sharing that. It does occur to me that these kinds of collaborations between our university and your university is really valuable for thinking about the kind of global activism. The local is so important, but also the global. And it's just an honor to be able to work with you. I'd love to explore more possibilities for that.
Thank you.
Anybody else have any thoughts on that they want to share? We have run over time, but sorry, did you have something else? I don't know, the chat might be delayed, but I don't know, we are over time. I don't want to just because we're over time. Stay and keep this conversation going, but I know some of you may need to sign off, so if you need to, I understand. And I don't know, sorry, I guess it's late there for you all.
No, I'm going through the chat box side by side, and I'm looking, at the time, because over here it's nighttime in Pakistan, but you would have your daytime activities over there. So that's understandable. And during the answering of the question and during the discussion going on, it's quite fruitful. It's quite, amazing and informative. And I got to learn a lot. Thank you all for being the amazing participants of this session. And the round of applause goes to Farrah Grant. And one more thing, like I was looking at the, time as well. It's not a problem with us, but since being the, considering the daytime over there, so it's okay if if you want to end up the session or if you want to close it down.
I don't need to run. So if you all want to stay and keep chatting.
Like we have to, it's compulsion. It's compulsion. Like you have office, you have classes, you have things, things to do at hand.
Okay. Well, anybody I see, so amazing. Thank you. Yes, this was fantastic. I really appreciate all the work that both you, Wilayat, and Sarah did with your students to prepare them for today. So thank you all so much for your work. Thank you all so much for participating.
It wasn't possible if your efforts were not there, because you have shared a lot of links and websites, and you rose our interest into this activity. And same with our students. Our students also, they actively participated in that because you were there at our back. So thank you so much, Farrah, for your time and input. And it was a great session. We have.
Thank you, Wilayat. The pleasure's all mine. Pleasure's all mine. And I hope
and
that
one thing, Farrah, I want to add that if that suits all of us, and if that suits you, so after a couple of days, I think if that is possible, so we can have a short session of the such kinds in which are theme based, which are topic based, and in which we can talk about things like that. Like we can continue the same spirit and the future as well. So it would be, I think, nice. This is we can collect the ideas. We can collect the ideas from one another. We can exchange the ideas from one another. And this is how good project and good research can be promoted.
Yeah, I love that idea. I absolutely love that and agree that we need to keep this conversation going. I know, Courtney, you shared the Sustain UNO Instagram. If there's a way to keep students connected through social media, and I think it'd be fantastic, like you said, to have some future discussions like this on certain topics. I think that would be a wonderful idea.
Yeah, inshallah.
Wonderful, wonderful. We will plan on that. All right.
That's the word.
Yep, and RD send it out. Let us know how we can help you and advance sustainability and women empowerment, because that's why we're here. So thank you all so much, and I hope that we can connect again in the future.
Yeah,
and
thank you.
Yes, and
Hopefully, inshallah.
Yes, Wilayat and Sarah will be on UNO's campus. So for those UNO students, in just a couple weeks, so starting the first 2 weeks of May, they will be in Omaha. So I'm so excited, can't wait.
Yeah.
So we can meet All right.
Yes, inshallah.
Well, thank you all so much, and take care, and we will be
Thank you so much, everyone. Thank you for being a part. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thanks to all.
Bye.
Thanks to all. It was wonderful. Thank you. Bye.